So we'll just walk our way through the agenda. First item is approval of the May 19th minutes. Any edits to the minutes that anyone sees? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
We've got moved. Matt seconds it. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Second item, visitor comments. Is there anybody here who'd be considered a visitor who has any comments?
I'm not a visitor, but I can give you a quick update on the last meeting's Prairie Gate, if you are interested.
On
The last meeting where they came to talk about the Pocket Prairie Islands.
I think we're mostly at that meeting.
No, I'm still, I can give you an update.
Oh, you can give it.
I watched the meeting online, so I haven't seen the last meeting. It was quite a meeting.
Okay, well, let's bring that up under new business.
Sure.
So hearing no visitor comments, then item 3 is Pam Bliss giving us a update from the city council.
So I was gonna say I was gonna bring up the Pocket Prairies. So if you want to have a whole conversation about it, but yes, we've heard all the concerns and put together a draft of a proposal for taking care of the islands. I know they've met with the neighborhood, and so that's just in a draft form at this point. So maybe you have more updates on that.
No, I mean,
Okay.
that's good enough.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was coming together, though. There was a meeting of the minds with it.
There'll be some tweaking
There was,
on that.
communications. We'll be buttoning up the communications a little bit more, and they admitted that happened a little without that taking place.
Is
Yeah,
that specific to just the neighborhood that had the most comments last week, or is that gonna be citywide? Because I've noticed in the last month, there's signs all over the place for
Yeah.
Pocket Prairies comment areas.
so there's phases for those spaces, and so this was phase 1, and it is throughout different areas throughout the city. And then there's a phase 2 that's, not taking place yet. This was part of Prop WG, so it's all in line with that. It was just the community engagement and the implementation wasn't carried out so well.
And at our meeting last week or last month, we got a list of locations. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And then tomorrow night, we are going to take steps towards adopting the budget. That's essentially finished unless people have amendments tomorrow night. And that'll be a relatively short meeting. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Pam on city council stuff? Okay. Next item, staff liaison update. Sean.
Sure. Also, I wanted to just take a moment to welcome our new commission member, Andrea Lacey. Do you guys want to go around and introduce yourself, or did you do that already when I stepped out of the room?
No.
Okay. I'm Sean Finnegan. I'm the sustainability coordinator for the city, and I'm the staff liaison to this commission. So, welcome.
Karen Anderson, I've been on the commission for, close to 3 years now.
Nicole Miller-Strutman, I've been on for 5 months. So newish. Still learning the ropes.
Yeah.
Matt Rody, about a year.
John Hickey. It's been about 3 years.
I'm Carson Kinsey. I was a high school representative for over junior and senior year, and now I'm just back missing for the summer.
Comes from.
I'm Andrea Lee, or go by Andy. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks. And was a council member and council liaison. Just introducing ourselves to Andrea.
Yes.
Today, new today.
Yes, I'm a relatively new member of the, and chronically late apparently. Sorry about that.
I'm Anna Carrion and I've been on the commission for about a year. And a half. I'm co-chair, vice chair.
And then, yes, hi.
Oh, who's
Hello. Hi, I'm Amna. I've been on the committee for maybe 4.5 years or so. It's very nice. So do you like to go by Andy or how do you prefer to be?
I come to just about any version of Andrea, Andy.
Okay,
So,
welcome.
okay. Tim, do you need an agenda? Maybe pass agenda down.
So you can share, please.
Okay, Sean?
Yes, all right. You,
Let's ask, could you give us like a 3-sentence version why this committee?
oh, well,
Which-
actually, I interviewed for the Green Space Committee and there were a couple of extra openings and there were 2 of us that were interviewing, so they asked me if I was available or interested in any other committees, so, and this was one of them.
Your
My
favorite, I mentioned.
yes, absolutely. It was actually on my top of my list, but never open. But my background is, so, I have a extensive background, but the specific part that is relevant is I did a landscape design program through GW University in DC. And that's kind of I really enjoy being out in the yard and the gardening and all of the sustainability, and did some rain gardens in my front yard, and I'm just up the street on Elm, so yeah, very wonderful. It's good to have you here.
Okay, great. Well, welcome aboard, Andy. And as you heard at the beginning of our meeting, the issue of planting in public spaces is something that sometimes comes in front of this commission. So your expertise will be helpful.
Oh.
Okay, then staff liaison update, Sean.
Yes, okay, a couple things for you guys. The Green Dining District celebration is going to be a week-long event, July 14th through the 20th. It's going to be a campaign basically to recognize our green dining certified restaurants in Webster Groves and encourage residents to go out and visit these restaurants. On Tuesday, July 15th of that week, the restaurant owners will be invited to the city council meeting that evening to be formally recognized. And then at the end of that week, on Saturday, July 19th, the Green Dining Association will have a bike tour, a ticketed bike tour to visit the various certified restaurants in Webster Groves, and proceeds for that bike tour will benefit their nonprofit organization. So I will be working with public affairs to get some promotions put in the city socials and the Friday page. I'm building out a landing page on our sustainability department website with all of our green dining certified restaurants. And so we'll be encouraging residents that week in particular to go out and support these restaurants. And to celebrate also the fact that Webster Groves is now the region's 5th green dining district, which is very cool. Okay, the annual electronics recycling event is currently scheduled for August 2nd, although the location is still TBD. So if you remember last year, we had to find a new location and we were able to, Owen Ridge, the business park off Marshall Road, let us use their parking lot and it worked really well. Unfortunately, my contacts there from last year no longer work there. So I've asked the new people and I have not heard back yet. So, if Owen Ridge doesn't work, I've got a list of churches with big parking lots. I know some of you guys have been. I remember, John, you came by last year, and Anna, you actually were walking by. I remember seeing you. But it's a very large space is needed because there's 2 semi-tractor trailers that come, and then there's a very long line of vehicles that come. So it really does need to be a very large parking lot. The parking lot at Blackburn on either side, that would not work. It needs to be even bigger than that. So if anybody has a lead on other locations that might be appropriate or willing to help that have large parking lots, don't hesitate to let me know. Churches, I think there's I'm gonna fail in this moment to remember the name of this church on Watson. It's the Lutheran Church on Watson, I believe, but they have a very large parking lot. So you might reach out to them. Yeah, so we do have it tentatively scheduled and the request has been made to Owen Ridge.
In previous years, the electronic recycling was done at the rec center. I know there's been a lot of construction there. I think it was sort of not in the rec center parking lot, but what would have been the parking lot just south of.
It was Hickson's parking lot, but since their renovation, and that space is honestly a little too snug, so that location doesn't work anymore. Since especially because they've just renovated the whole thing, and we don't, that's the school district's property, not ours. So, my understanding is they will not be lending that space out.
Besides, it's packed since it's summertime.
Yeah, that too. This is on a Saturday morning, so that's also prime time for pool and the rec center attendees, so likely wouldn't work.
The football field side's still open for the most part, but how much room do you need?
If you go drive Owen Ridge parking lot on the backside, you'll see, there are cars that come from every zip code in multiple counties even outside of St. Louis County. It's actually really amazing how popular these electronics recycling events are.
Not that amazing, actually. I always have something myself.
Well, it's true. I think it's impressive that people actually come to recycle versus just throwing it in the trash. So, because some of the items you do have to pay for. So anyway, more work to be done, but right now, August 2nd is on the books with our recycler, which is MRC. And this is a public works event that the Public Works Department has put on for many years. So we are in it. And then Safe Streets for All. I was going to give you guys a little update there. I think at the last meeting I told you, I just want to make sure everyone's clear. At one point this spring, we were pursuing an implementation grant, which is the next round of funding for the Safe Streets for All program. We have since learned that the projects we were proposing are not likely to be awarded. And there's so much time and resources that goes into applying for these federal grants. And we've been told that our application was very likely not going to be awarded. So we're going to just go back to the original plan, which is to, via our current planning and demonstration grant, we continue as always planned with that. The intention, the goal of that grant is to create a comprehensive safety action plan. And in order to fully develop that plan, we've received some funding to pilot demonstration projects in the community. And these demonstration projects are, we've got speed humps, adaptive signal timing, variable speed limit signs, in-road warning lights at pedestrian crossings, and a multi-use path, and then also a pedestrian hybrid beacon. So we've got 6 different projects that we will be piloting. And again, we can't start those projects until the environmental review is complete. That's a federal requirements. We expect that that will be completed by the end of September, hopefully by the 1st of September. But anyway, we're waiting for that to wrap up, and we can't even purchase the equipment for these demonstration projects until that requirement has been fulfilled. So, but that's what's coming this fall, are these demonstration projects. They won't all go in at the same time. They'll be staggered. But before they go out, we will be sending out a community survey, which we've begun work on already, and it informs the community of the 6 demonstration projects and asks for residents' feedback and their perceptions and on these various demonstration projects. So then once they're complete, we can go back and measure, you know, how the community felt about them, what they were expecting to feel about them on, you know, before we tested them. So just, you know, for more data, but that survey will be coming out later, this late summer. And then also I wanted to let you guys know that the Traffic Advisory Commission, in collaboration with TrailNet, is having an event on July 9th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the rec center. TrailNet will be presenting on complete streets and talking about you know, how we can make the streets safer for cyclists and pedestrians. And I will be at the event along with the grant manager for the Safe Streets project, Dr. Tennille Rose Martin. We will be there to table at that event and inform the attendees about our Safe Streets for All grant. And then hopefully we will also have our new community liaison, although I don't know if they'll really be onboarded in time for that. But that's on the city's website right now. There is a job posting for a community liaison for Safe Streets for All. So because starting this fall, we'll have more community engagement events. We'll have some public open house. We'll have some focus group meetings. So the community liaison will be brought on to help facilitate all of the community engagement events. And that's it. That's all I got for you today. Yes, John.
Oh, you said July 9th from 6 to 7:30 is the open house that TrailNet is doing,
With the Traffic Advisory Commission.
the Traffic Advisory Commission.
Mm-hmm. They have planned an event with TrailNet, and that's at the rec center from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on July 9th.
And is this under the aegis of Safe Streets for All, that committee, or is this a separate?
It's not. It is a separate, the Traffic Advisory Commission, I think when we were applying for this grant a couple of years ago, which was before I was here, but the Public Works Department who applied for the grant used some of the data and the priorities, the work that the Traffic Advisory Commission, TAC, had been working on to identify some of the demonstration projects that we should pilot. So the Traffic Advisory Commission, and there is somebody on that commission, just like Matt, but somebody who sits on the task force for SS4A. So they're just a little bit more engaged in the work, but technically, you know, they are a separate entity. And when residents have safety concerns, they often go to TAC meetings, and then TAC addresses those with the city.
And then Matt, you're involved in that committee, the Safe Streets for All?
Our representative, although right when I joined is when they stopped meeting and claim everyone and stuff, so I haven't really done much yet, but I will.
And you met.
No, but I did go to a traffic advisory committee meeting a couple of years ago about Elm and the Prospect. But yeah, that's it.
So the Safe Streets for All is not meeting until sometime later. Okay, so there's no.
Was there a name for that event, Sean?
I don't think, I'm not sure if there's a formal name for it. I think it's just. I'm not sure, trail nets, traffic advisory commission and trail net, okay. Yeah. I can ask them. And then also, I'll also tell you about, actually in August, there is the police department and the fire department are putting on National Night Out, which, as you can imagine, is actually a national movement, I think, among law enforcement agencies, but it will be at the water park. And I don't have much detail on that at the moment, but Safe Streets for All will be there at that event as well to table and inform the community about the demonstration projects that will be coming and it's the Safe Streets grant. And that's in August,
Is there a date in August or is?
August 5th.
And that's at the.
Mhm.
Cool. Anything else?
No.
Sharon,
That's it.
Any questions for Sean's report or?
Did you say it was at the rec center? So,
The pool, actually, the pool, yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so moving right along, we're now on item 5, old business. EV car show, last month, you may recall, we were in a holding pattern because we were trying to schedule a date that worked for the Masonic Hall to be able to use the lot.
So, yeah, unfortunately, no, I have sent several emails asking for an update. And I have not heard back. We requested Saturday, September 27th. So there's still plenty of time, to pull that off, but Scott Davis is supposed to be, he manages the relationship with the Masonic Temple Masons. And so I have asked him several times. I don't have an update on that yet.
Okay, so we've got to ask into the Masonic Temple for Saturday, September 27th. We are waiting a response, but until we get that.
Not in time for
That's
today.
Okay, and for anybody, maybe that only includes Andy. Tim, I'm not sure if you were here when we were originally planned the EV car show. It's basically.
Yeah, I was here.
Okay, it's basically an event where we'd have people bring EVs so that then the general public could come and talk to people who drive electric vehicles, look at them. That's something that should be interesting. So, and if you haven't looked at car, you too can be.
No, I wish.
Hybrids count?
Yeah. it's not bad.
Sean, we made the Masonic Lodge for them.
I have a hybrid van. Who wants it to
Release.
Oh,
Yeah.
Release Monday.
Curious if they have.
I don't know if I'm not sure where the breakdown is.
Usually they're eager to.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on the EV car show? Okay, moving right along, solar rebate expansion. Background on this, especially for regular commission members, is we allocated funds to.
Hey, John, I think you might be looking at an old agenda version. The next item in front of everyone is the EcoEd lecture on September 3rd.
Okay, you do have an old version. It's the right day, it's just. Different order. Okay, so our next item, EcoEd event on September 3rd. Is that you, Karen, or who's making that report?
I didn't know that you needed a report on this. I didn't hear anything about it. I can tell you that on July 2nd is the next one. And that's the one where Scott Woodbury is going to do the name it plants overview. So the one on 9-3 is organized by Green Space, and they're doing stormwater solutions at Brookwood Park, and now you know what
Okay, okay, super. So that Green Space Advisory Council is doing September 3rd. Yeah. And then background for folks, the Scott Woodbury's expertise is native plants. And are you familiar, Andy, with the EcoEd series? Does that mean?
I am not,
Karen, what would be the one sentence version?
Yeah, this is the third year that the Green Space Advisory Commission and Sustainability Commission have collaborated on a series of public lectures. We do 6 running from February through October with the summer off usually. And we've had topics from dark skies to recycling, composting with worms, and it's all over the place. Awesome. We get a pretty good turnout, I think, we had a couple of dozen, 30 people at the last one. Yeah. So it is at the Webster Groves Library, unless if there's a field trip involved, which there is in the one in September. Awesome.
And Scott is probably the foremost expert on native plants in St. Louis area.
years ago.
I don't know if he wrote a book, but he was at Shaw Nature Reserve, like the Whitmire House, all the native planting around there, that's all his stuff. And he's working on the project to do the new park on Deer Creek, at Deer Creek in Brentwood, next to the Bi-State Bus Garage. Right now, there's a whole bunch of pipes.
Yeah.
Once you put those pipes underground, that's gonna be native plants. That's-
So I think that's where we're going on the 3rd. I think that's the place we're going, but I'm not quite sure. I don't have all spring.
Could be native. We did a lot of planting there last fall, so those should be leafing out and that.
Scott has did you get the Gateway Gardener? You see that?
I do not.
It's free in a lot of places, but he always has articles.
I'll have to check it out.
Okay, and then last item under old business. Let's actually do this. If folks are okay with this, flip the order, and instead of doing fiscal year 2026 planning discussion, let's talk about item 6, roles of Sustainability Commission and Green Space, because that kind of would impact our FY 2026 one. And Anna, do you want to report on our meeting with the Green Space folks and where we thought it landed in terms of who's doing what?
I'd be happy to. So the mayor, along with several of city leadership and other council members, brought the Green Space Advisory Commission chair and co-chair together with John and myself to discuss what it would mean if the 2 commissions merged. And why to do so or why not to. And following that meeting, John and Carrie Coyne and Jeannie Klockner and I met to discuss our thoughts on the matter and agreed that we feel that we're best as 2 separate entities. Due to our separate missions and priorities. And in both meetings, we discussed some of the missions and priorities in specifics. And those included what we determined would continue to be Green Space Advisory Commission priorities of the dark skies issue. Since they spearheaded that originally, we will continue to provide our support as asked, but they will continue to spearhead it. We believe. And then continue spearheading native plants and things of that nature. And in some form, stormwater management. And then we'll continue with our missions. That's planned. So that's
Questions for,
Yeah, dark skies is one that I'm a little concerned about going all the way to green spaces because dark skies aren't all about green spaces. They're mostly about buildings and the kinds of pollution, light pollution that we see from the cities. They started it, but that doesn't mean that I think that that should be their initiative. It just seems like there's a lot more to do with city stuff
yeah.
and stuff.
That's true, and a lot of what was written in that proposed ordinance resolution. What have you, has to do with a change to city infrastructure.
And I do see it as a sustainability issue because less light is less energy, less light is better for the environment and sustainability. That's trees, birds and bees.
I think part of the point was that we can do subcommittees with a combination of people. That's how things have started before.
Okay.
Like that's kind of how the whole stormwater thing started about 4 years ago, prior to hiring Intuition and Logic. The sustainability and green space came together to talk about stormwater issues, and that, you know, we discovered, or the mayor discovered, that we had an old stormwater master plan. And so, you know, I think there's going to be subcommittees where you guys are working together on different things. The purpose of the meeting was there's a lot of overlap. And so we thought divide and conquer would be a good way to approach it, and also to be mindful of staff time. If we start overlapping and wanting our own initiatives, that's even more work. So it's kind of in order to really organize and think about just what is our plan for the next year and how to best conquer that.
Okay.
So I think subcommittees will keep going.
yeah, and part of our thinking was didn't make sense to have two different committees sort of coming up with two different proposals. And the green space folks, it's sort of started the ball rolling in terms of what an ordinance would look like on dark skies or producing light pollution. They're running with it, like, let's go ahead and do that. And that, because it seems like the policy piece, the sample ordinances and all are available. It's my understanding from our previous discussions is that it's not something we got to start with a blank piece of paper and write a policy. That there's Dark Skies Inc. or whatever is going to have language. It's going to say, you know, here's how you've got to deal with your streetlights. Here's how you amend the code on residential. Is my understanding. And again, I'm not deep into this issue, but my understanding is that there's sort of off the shelf sort of light codes that could be taken and just.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we get the whole totality of the issue covered one way or the other. It's not just green space.
And on that point, Pam, is the dark sky stuff also in the sort of like on ice until the city council works its way through its current set of things, or is it not?
Well, I don't have the green space plan in front of me, but it would be related to whatever is on their work plan. So if green space has it on their work plan now, they'll be working on it now.
They submitted the policy recommendation. I did ask the director of Parks and Rec, James Boyd, if he had an update, and what he told me was that policy recommendation has gone up the flagpole. But he doesn't know when it will be presented to council. Like the next thing is for it to go to a city council meeting and he doesn't know which meeting it will be on the schedule for. But it's Green Space submitted their recommendation to their staff liaison who submitted it to her leader, which is James Boyd. So it's gone through the internal city staff channels. And so I believe the next step is that it goes to city council, but I don't know if the date for that has been determined yet.
And given that, do you see anything that is incumbent upon this body here to act or?
No, I mean, I think it was in April, you all voted in favor of supporting that policy recommendation. And so I submitted that to the Green Space Advisory staff liaison and her leader, letting them know that the Sustainability Commission had voted in favor to join Green Space in this recommendation so that you all would be formally on the literature as well. So they're aware, but no, there's no future. You guys have already voted in favor, so just until I hear otherwise, there's nothing more that you all have to do.
Good. Okay, so we jumped to 6 and we've just knocked that out. So the last item on our agenda for today is fiscal year 2026 planning. And for people who are wondering what in God's creation is the fiscal year for Webster Groves city government, the answer to that question, Sean, would be
July 1 through June 30th is the fiscal year. So we are very quickly approaching our new fiscal year of 2026.
okay. And to help get the conversation rolling, I've drafted a document that looked at what are the mix of issues that we're working on, because we've got a number of balls up in the air, and how might we divvy up that work within the commission? And I apologize for not giving people more advanced time to take a look at that, but having done that, does anyone have any thoughts on so the basic concept is breaking the different projects we're doing into 3 baskets that deal with a similar policy area, and then figuring that with 9 commissioners, 3 commissioners each carried the ball in each of those baskets, then we would divvy up the work, take advantage of all the talent around the table. And then of course we could bring it back together before we finalize anything, but that way we could maybe get a little more. You're right back. So the 3 baskets, energy efficiency and clean energy. First basket, waste reduction is the second basket, transportation is the third basket. Any thoughts on this? Good, bad, indifferent?
John, I saw your message earlier today, and I think that's a great idea. I like the way you separated things into the 3 baskets. Are you thinking that, so we would split up three of us into each subcommittee? I mean, some of our events require, all hands on deck still, but are you thinking like the 3 people would be the ones coordinating kind of some of the events that fall under that bucket?
Exactly, on both things. They wouldn't then have to do the whole campaign beginning to end, because the reality is some of these are a lot bigger than others. Some are one-day things like this pumpkin smash. Some, like changing the building codes, are going to be a 12-month slog probably. But the idea would be, as you said, there'd be 3 people who would just monitor those areas and help move them along. But then when an event comes up, like the pumpkin smash, just to pick something easy, as many people as come would be encouraged to. So it's kind of breaking up the kind of the thinking part of it, or the scheduling part of it. And it'll still require coordination because if, I don't know, committee A decide we're gonna push this legislation in the city council in March and group B says the same thing, well, we gotta work it out and coordinate, but it allows, it's a way to try and get sort of more hands-on the sort of planning thing. And it might be, again, might be, a committee might look at, I don't know, the waste reduction list, and they might say, oh, this is great, but I think we should sequence them in this priority order, or, this one just goes out the door entirely and we're going to focus on these others. It's because in looking at it, I think we all were thinking about this at the last meeting, is we've got a long agenda. We don't have unlimited capacity to move that agenda. So we got to break it up into bits, but we also got to, by breaking up the sort of thinking and planning work, then that will allow us to move forward. Because it's a lot of pieces, but none of it's like, a moon mission. They're all doable with the expertise and skills we have on the table.
Guess I didn't check, but you went, so last month we had the whole list of our work plan and our goals and a couple different formats of it, but did you reflect those in this new?
I thought I did.
Or I assume you did, I just didn't get to verify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Something.
Some of these are already handled by Public Works, so we would not need to address those.
Which ones would fit in that category?
The yard signs.
The political yard signs that's a region-wide initiative that's only after, typically it's only after general elections. It's not something that the commission has created or developed. It's just the regional organizers contact me, and then I get approval and we set out gaylords. So there's really nothing there for the commission.
Well, I wouldn't be quite that good on that. I would say that the challenge is you've got 1,000 yard signs out there. Most of the people with the yard signs have no clue that there's gonna be a drop box at City Hall. It's just one more example. It's gonna take a lot of work from somebody that's probably above and beyond what the city staff can do to spread that message.
Yeah, I mean, promoting any of our sustainability initiatives the commission is welcome to share on their social feeds or promote however you want. I mean, I would never discourage you guys. I'm just saying that in the past, there has not been a member from the commission that works with the organizers. I have worked with the organizers or my public works predecessors. And then we work with
the yard sign thing you're talking about?
Correct, with the yard signs. And then we work with Republic to get the yard signs up to Republic. And so it's just that the commission hasn't organized that event.
Right. The idea isn't so much to think about only the work that is just done by the commission, but for the commission to have sort of situational awareness to know, oh, this other thing is happening over here that relates to something else we're doing. So it's, as you look at these things, some of them are going to be like, look, I'm in the transportation. The electric vehicle car show will be more of a hands-on project. Some of the other things are much smaller. Webster on Wheels is just getting a few volunteers for snack. So they're not all, equal.
I think of the work plan as more of a guide for where we need subcommittees and where we need commissioners to focus their energy and what we need to discuss as a commission. If there's an event that a department is planning and it's happening with or without us, I don't feel the need to have a subcommittee on it or claim some sort of credit for it. I do think it's great to be aware, and I appreciate the staff liaison updates on all of those things, but I feel like we have a lot of priorities or initiatives already that I would rather focus on instead of making the list seem broader than it really needs to be. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. Super. The other thoughts, comments? So then, I guess one way to implement what you just said, Anna, would be if we went with the system of 3 buckets of work, 3 people per bucket, then those folks could, as part of analyzing the list, they might actually add some things that aren't on this. I'm not perfect. I could have easily forgot something that would make would fit into this work plan. And it might be that some of the things on the work plan, the committee decides, as you just laid out, well, hey, this is on the list, but we're not going to do anything there because it's already. So it's.
I was gonna say, if it's not on the work plan, if it's not here in this work plan, it probably won't be addressed right now until some of the other things are completed.
And by the work plan, you're not referencing this new document, but the document.
Yeah, the annual report plan.
I know, yeah, I know, I'm just making sure I'm around the table notes.
So you're encouraging us to focus on what our annual plan that we submitted
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
And aligning these subcommittees with
With
that.
Yes.
And then, I mean, sort of things like there's 2 kind of sub things that we're talking about. One of them being like, how do we feel about a subcommittee approach to what we've planned? And then what's actually on the list for each of those subcommittees to address, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound accurate?
Yeah,
Okay,
you'll
so,
be supported for what's on this plan here.
right, yeah.
So Andrea, every March, the commissions are asked to fill out the annual reports for their commission. And it's to help city council prepare for adopting the new fiscal year budget. So starting in early spring, a lot of work is done internally at the city to start preparing for the new budget. And so every commission creates this report, and it highlights their mission, purpose, and duties. And then it also lists, like, the commissions fill out their prior year accomplishments, what they've been working on. And then it also asks for their work plan for the upcoming fiscal year. So in March, the Sustainability Commission submitted their annual plan, which includes their work plan for fiscal year 26. Now, the primary author of this plan was the previous chair of this commission, who's, he termed out, so he's not here, but, so that might be where. I'm not sure if that was clearly communicated in the past, but it has been brought to my attention that the commission should be focusing on the projects and the initiatives that were put in their fiscal year 26 work plan. Now, that doesn't mean that, you can't have any conversations or, but in terms of resources and what city council and city leadership are expecting you to be working on and are anticipating hearing updates on, those items are in the work plan.
Can I make a recommendation? So it's just like an adjustment to what we've already started, but to align the subcommittees with our goals, our plan from March, right? So sort of clarifying that, and then all of these additional pieces that might be on here that weren't on the original could be thought as our steps for next year.
Yes.
And planning for and each subcommittee could sort of take that on as deciding what was going to be prioritized for the next
Yeah. Yeah, you guys could still form your
I mapped our
subcommittees.
tasks to our goals. And that's somewhere. I sent it out. I think that's what we're.
So does that align with the subcommittee approach that he, that you remember now?
I remember, it has to. Because I took all the tasks that we said that we were gonna do, and then I looked at our, Forever Webster Groves and matched it to one of the pillars there. So there was clear what our goal and mission was. And to me, that would make sense to have subcommittees like that.
Align with that, yeah.
The thing is, what the list that Pam is talking about is different than what you're talking about.
No, I took everything off of that list and put it into
This one,
the,
I think this is,
it's all on there, right?
yeah,
You're saying that's what we turned into the city council.
no.
No,
No, this is, yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
you sent this out right
Okay.
after that, so.
That's what Pam is saying is, and Sean is saying is, it's what we turned into the city council for our fiscal year 2025.
Karen took what the commission submitted to city council. She took all of these in the work plan. And she suggested subcommittees based off of the initiatives that the commission put for their fiscal year 26 work plan.
right. And the three target areas from the Forever Webster Groves are the built environment, community engagement and development, and natural environment. Those were three that we had for the board's.
So treating those essentially as our subcommittees with these.
I don't know, I just mapped the
Yeah.
tasks to the goals.
Could I ask a question, Sean? Do you have a copy available of that 2025 document or 2025 work plan? I did not bring this one.
You could just give me one.
Mhm.
Actions.
Yeah, just.
I can also.
And one thing would be helpful. Anna, is that something you can just email that document to the whole commission just to make sure folks like Andy that are maybe haven't seen it before would have it?
The work plan,
It's the thing that's titled, and I'm not sure if you have it.
our annual report.
2025 annual report of the Webster Grove Sustainability Commission.
Yeah, I will forward that out again. So Andy, you have it. I sent it out ahead of the main meeting. So, but I'll send it out to the group again. So Andy, you'll have a copy.
Super.
I mean, it seems like we have basically a good start, and then maybe it's overlapping some of the things that you have added as complements to what Karen already created. I think that seems, then we can, as a committee, decide who wants to help take the lead on each of those subcommittees.
And it may be that 3, 3, and 3 might not be the right number, right? If it brings down to this way.
Okay, so we've got basically, I like the highlighters, two different versions, similar, not the same. And then I guess the third document would be the text that Jeff Helmich turned in. So we've got three lists, similar, not the same. And we're close to the end of our hour. Could I suggest that we create a subcommittee who's willing to sit down with these three documents and merge and purge and come up with a list of 3 buckets? I'm just thinking we're not gonna edit it as a group in the next 5 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, I have them.
Okay, so Karen, that's a yes.
Sure.
Nicole, a yes. I'm a yes. Anybody? I think three's enough, but if anybody wants to be on, I think four,
Sorry, I'm like, you can do it.
okay. Fourth, hearing none. Nicole, Karen, and John got a subcommittee. That will,
I mean,
I
don't want to overstate the obvious, but I think all it is taking this new work group and aligning it with that plan, because these two documents are aligned already. So it's just a matter of aligning this other one with that one, those two things.
Yeah.
Or I do like the alignment to the sustainability plan. right?
Yes.
Which has in it. So maybe another way to think about it would be if we want to keep that alignment, instead of a 3-3-3 breakdown based on what's on it, then it would be more on. So good to make up the right, what's the right number of people to assign and come up with the divisions in that way.
I mean, and I think some of that we could do right now. I know I don't have a ton of minutes, but and may as well just get it done. And I agree. I think each of these groups in the subcommittee could actually look at the additional list themselves as we move forward to decide which activities need to be done. And we know that these ones were in our plan, so these definitely need to be done, and then we can align that with anything new that could potentially happen next year. So the target areas, the built environment, and the community engagement and development have many more tasks compared to the natural environment, which makes sense because the Green Space, Commission also takes on a lot of the natural environment. So it might be that maybe we only need a couple people on that one, and then the other two could use additional. That's what it's looking like to me. But
Right, so in the natural environment, the one or two people could be a subcommittee
Yeah.
with green space, like Ecoed is a subcommittee.
Right. Yeah.
and I would think that the natural environment one could be just with the Green Space Advisory Committee, in terms of use of native plants within city limits. That's, I think, that's their turf, not our turf. So I think this.
But-
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, so we're merging documents from different times, so it makes it a little trickier. But it sounds like we've got a subcommittee to do that. And I think we can bring this work up to date, and as well as do some prioritization, because frankly, each of these documents is probably a more ambitious set of tasks than you might want to initially write off.
Yes. Is this the document that you created? I'm pretty sure that has like the target area, the proposals. Is that like an official thing that has been submitted, or is that just something that you had like for the commission?
No, I went through the work plan and just looked at it against our mission and goals. Tried to match up what
Okay.
we were really doing. Yeah, so this one is, it was a third piece of paper.
Gotcha.
I mean, in general, does there seem to be support for the subcommittee approach? So I feel like we have that. We have the potential subcommittees outlined.
Sorry.
I don't know how much your subcommittee would need to do if it's already done.
I don't know. Make sure that any new proposed items
Make it.
don't fall off.
Could the subcommittees do that?
Yes. Yes,
Didn't we just sign up the subcommittees?
yes.
Does anybody want to set up subcommittees?
Well, everyone pick a subcommittee, I guess.
I'm losing track of.
I just feel like
Where
it's,
we're going.
I feel like people have already done the work. I feel like we have two versions of people doing the work. And we're at a point where we can see everybody has both documents, right? And I don't know that we need a subcommittee to decide on the subcommittees. Everybody's supportive of the subcommittees. So perhaps it's worth just moving forward with the subcommittees, and we can choose subcommittees, and the subcommittees could take your additional list with the additional priorities and decide how they've been aligned. That's my recommendation.
I-
think that seems. I do see transportation is missing. off the
Yeah,
goal, and I
transportation.
did, but I took everything that was in our work plan, is transportation in our.
Only, there would only be the GHG, if there's anything in there for that greenhouse gas, but
You've got the EV
Transfer
transfer
rebate.
rebates.
Right, that's under
That's
built
under
environment.
safe streets
Yeah.
is the only thing that's transportation oriented here.
And that would be within the built
And
environment.
that's our, and
Well,
But-
it's not really the
Well,
review of the.
it's also we've already got Matt playing this role here.
But then you've also got the EV car show, which is in
Which
one of these
is-
documents, but it's not part of another document.
Right, but
So I think-
which of our target areas does that go to?
Community engagement.
Community engagement?
Goes in community engagement,
Okay,
goes
so
into
that's just-
the clean air, but the goes into built environment, you gotta have EV chargers.
It's already in built environment number 4, seek permission from city council to expand the solar rebates to include EV chargers.
Right, so the only thing that's really missing on here is the car show.
No idling in school zone. That's maybe the top direction.
Yeah, right, I think that would fall, whichever bucket it falls under, right, that can be the purview of that subcommittees.
To decide for next
26, 27.
So maybe the first order of business for the subcommittees could be to take these things.
But then you've got, I guess it's a question of if you look at drafting an integrated food waste management plan, which is in one of the documents, understanding
What's the?
it's not in this document, then we can't work on it until the following year. But
Well, I kind of think that we need to be looking ahead to the year after and think about the kinds of things that we want to implement then and put some planning into place this year so that we're ready to hit the ground on our work plan for next year, rather than just trying to continue the same things that we're doing this year.
And having subcommittees where it's discussed and kind of made solid to bring back to the commission as a whole would be a great way to approach that, I think.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I missed the end of that. What would be a good approach?
I'm echoing Karen's suggestion that we think ahead to fiscal year 27. And
And
that
we don't limit ourselves to just what's in that work
Right.
plan, because that's what we're implementing this year. It's not what we're thinking about doing.
So, and was this based off of what's coming in the future, or this is based off of our plan? Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve as was recommended, maybe for people to sign up for a subcommittee, and then for those subcommittees to look at the current, if we're gonna align it with this, the current things that are on the list as well as additional things.
I think it's apples and oranges, because if you're looking at the one with the target area, the seems to me that it like I say, it misses transportation, it looks at so it seems to me I would still suggest that we have a committee that goes through these 3 documents and merges and purges, because
So there's a motion on the floor. We have to see if there's anyone has a second for the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I second the motion to form subcommittees to support the work plan. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, so then the next step would be to vote.
Okay, but time out. This isn't the work plan is this document. So the vote is on this document. The work plan was submitted to the council.
How can it be on, no, it's not on that document. It's on The
I think
elements,
there's a lack of.
so the elements of that document, A, B, C, D, can all be found in this, that map to the Forever Webster Groves. It's all
But
here.
Forever Webster Groves isn't our guiding document, or the guiding document.
It is
It is our guiding document.
It's the document that's in our strategic plan for implementation. And then you, as a commission, with part of sustainability, you're to carry that out. So, and that's the plan for this year.
But yeah, so, but bottom line, it's just these 6 things. Or these 7 things that we can work on this year, the things that are in the document.
As they relate to the strategic plan.
Which is what has been organized here.
Yeah,
Well, so, but this is a longer document that's got items in this document. And so this
What
document,
document is it that's all marked up? Is that this one?
that's the
That's
FY
the one I
26
did?
possibilities for
Okay.
implementing Forever Webster Groves.
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is we take some of the work that's already been done, that's been aligned with our previous, what we stated that we were gonna work on with our, the document that we're supposed to use to help us decide what we're gonna do, right? And then the subcommittees would take the additional pieces that you've added and integrate them in, but the subcommittees could do that. That's kind of what was in your mind.
But there's items in here that are added that aren't in what the council's given us.
Those are for
to
the
do.
planning for next year.
Right. So that each subcommittee could have a role not only to implement what we've already said we were gonna do, but also to curate what maybe we would do for the next year, which would include some of the things that were on the email, right? Where you're thinking about all the next step things, which I think is really important.
That's more of a long-term plan rather than a reaction to this event, because that's kind of what we've been doing, is just sort of hitting events and.
is there any more discussion?
My discussion, could somebody reframe the motion or repeat the motion?
Basically, we're trying to decide. I think maybe the confusion is, what are the subcommittees? Are they the subcommittees as outlined based on the Forever Webster plan? Or are they the subcommittees as outlined according to your document, which is like transportation or greenhouse emissions? I don't have it in.
The motion is to form subcommittees today to decide to work through this list and that list.
Okay.
So the motion is, are you guys forming subcommittees right now? So I think
Is that, okay. It's your motion, right?
Yeah, it was my motion. I was trying to do a motion to approve to move forward with the subcommittees as they align with our Forever plan.
Which means organized by target area of built environments, which would include energy efficiency and clean energy. The next target area in the Forever Webster Grove Sustainability Plan, the guiding plan, is community engagement and development. That includes waste reduction, recycling and composting. And then the other target area is natural environment, which you all discussed. That would be the subcommittee with the Green Space Advisory Commission. The only focus area that was in the Webster Grove Sustainability Plan that is not currently in this document is transportation. However, we know some of the transportation.
Transportation stuff here, so we need
Correct.
another,
Yeah, so either it's embedded into one of these existing community engagement or built environment, or you make an additional,
but it makes sense to have one for transportation since.
since there is,
That's what the pillar is.
yes, the sustainability, the Webster Grove Sustainability Plan, Forever Webster, does have 4 focus areas. So those are also the 4 focus areas on the website. So everything that's related to, whether it's the Sustainability Commission, the Sustainability departments for the city, it's organized by the Webster Groves Forever the Forever Webster Grove Sustainability Plan. That's the guiding document, and that's organized into 4 focus areas. So it would make sense for your subcommittees to be organized by those 4 focus areas. And then everything that is on this document, which kind of highlights the events that you all have worked on in the past, these can be, you know, put into those 4 subcommittees.
And we have 3 that are here right now. The
Yeah,
only one
well,
that is missing is transportation,
transportation.
which is on the, so we can just
Yeah,
pull that.
so you're
over.
95% of the way there.
But the third target area is not an R, right? That's the Green Space Advisory Committee. The native plant.
The
focus.
national
The 4th
environment.
focus
Well,
area.
it is part of our sustainability. plan.
There,
So-
in the Webster Grove Sustainability Plan, there is a focus area called natural environment.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that's not our committee, that's Green Space Advisory. Committee.
That would be your joint subcommittee. So there have been occurrences in the past where a few Sustainability Commission members and a few Green Space Commission members form a subcommittee. Karen has been on that subcommittee for the Eco-Ed lecture series. That's one of the programs under the joint subcommittee of these 2 commissions. So it's just expanding possibly that already existing subcommittee, in case there are other things in the future that pop up, like dark skies.
There may be some overlap.
Yeah, man, I'm so uncomfortable with if we're not the native plant commission, we shouldn't be taking on native plants, right?
The Green Space Commission is about green spaces that are public, right?
Mhm.
And sustainability is a lot more than just public lands, and promoting, helping the Green Space Commission to promote certain things that are related to sustainability. I think it is helpful to have, it's not a huge effort on our part, and to have involvement in the Eco-Ed series and to help promote things that are also happening with the Green Space Commission, but things like leaving the leaves, that kind of stuff. Those are programs that, yes, are headed by the Green Space Commission, but we can also help. It's still within our I see it as still within our purview to some degree, which is why it helps to have one person.
You do have natural environment is a focus area within the Forever Webster Grove Sustainability Plan. So, I mean, it doesn't mean, you know, that you should be touching everything related to native plants.
Right.
Certainly, there's the Green Space Advisory Commission that can do a lot of that heavy lifting, but it is in the sustainability plan of the city that there is some natural environment initiatives that this commission might promote. Perhaps it's composting, perhaps it's rain gardens, you know, in people's yards. In the past, this commission has done composting events. A few years ago, you all gave out tumblers. That was not Green Space, that was Sustainability Commission, but that's that's related to natural environment. Sure, it's also related to community engagement. But you do have natural environments within the Webster Grove Sustainability Plan. And here, I might be able to tell you some of the things that are on it. Natural environment, stormwater management, code analysis and updating, regarding land use regulations, identifying barriers and incentives and gaps in regulations, natural environment, determining priority code amendments to achieve community sustainability goals, prevent municipal water contamination via best management practices for pesticide and fertilizer use, promote practices that conserve water, develop a drought action plan, reduce the generation of local air contaminants via targets in the transportation focus area, work with regional partners to measure air quality via the greenhouse gas inventory to create a target and timeline for pollution reduction, conduct a greenhouse gas inventory every 3 years to measure those reductions, phase out 2-cycle engines and facilitate residents' choice between electric, propane, solar power tools. I mean, there are a lot of different suggestions that were put in the sustainability plan under the natural environment focus area. So
I see that, Green Space, their mission is not sustainability. Their mission is green spaces for the cities. I think it would be our role to at least have an advisor and a subcommittee with them thinking about the sustainability side of it.
And I have people on the advisory committee, I'm trying to use the right words, who are sustainably minded, so we've kind of been able to take a little bit of the back seat, it seems to me, on some things, because they're already pushing initiatives that are related. But that might not always be the case, right? And that it's good for us, I think, to continue to have our involvement, and it's under our listed things that we're supposed to be thinking about. So I guess, I don't know, my motion is still out there. Maybe I can modify it to include these target areas as well as include the fourth target area, which explicitly integrates the transportation component that you listed out. I don't know if that's even advisable.
Somebody wanna second the amendment you just made?
I was thinking,
Then we vote.
There's no more discussion. We vote.
And okay, so the floor is open. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it. Who will write up what we just decided?
For secretary.
Second.
Have it.
And you've got it. Okay. Do your notes indicate there's something we need to do at this point? Did the motion suggest committees, and if that is the case, do these committees get formed at this
The
point?
motion reads as follows: to form standing subcommittees to support a work plan that aligns with the approved fiscal year 26 initiatives as they relate to the strategic Forever Webster plan, organized by target areas, including the built environment, community engagement and development, the natural environment, transportation, and mobility.
Okay, so it suggested how many committees?
Or to align with our 4 priorities.
And given that your motion is your vision, that then we create these 4 committees at this point, do we create them at another
I
point?
think we just created them, right? I think what I would propose would be that at this point, right, we get this all written together, we can all take a look at this document with all the priorities on it again, and maybe coming into next month's meeting or whatever the next meeting is, right? We can actually divvy up by name who's gonna go. I mean, that might be a bridge too far for today, but I think having the agreed upon committees and content in front of everybody to think about it in the next meeting, like, seems like a reasonable goal to me.
And I'll be happy to amend this to put in the transportation piece.
That sounds great.
Go do that.
Thank you.
And the next meeting is in August.
Well, that's
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Okay, we have one last thing. I know our meeting's a little longer than usual, but hopefully time well spent. We've typically, city commissions take a month off in the summer. It could be July, it could be August. I am out of town in July, I'm in town in August, I'm not the only person on this commission. So it's up to us to decide. Does anybody have a calendar that says here's
The
the
next,
days?
so this commission meets on the 3rd Monday of the month, so if you met in July, it would be July 21st. And if you meet in August, it's August 18th.
Okay, so August 18th or July. July 21st. Okay, so August 18th to July 21st. Do we have? Are there other people that for whom one date or another is good or bad?
I would probably not be here on the 18th. You don't have to range around me.
Okay,
August, better.
Yeah, obviously, but
August is better as a meeting.
correct, I think I'll be out of town on this one.
Okay,
I don't vote in either. So.
Okay, so I'm feeling that we've got,
Just make sure you have a quorum.
on August 18th.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many heads is it for?
5.
Okay. Looks like we got a quorum. Okay. Okay, good. So next meeting, 18th August, 4 p.m. Been a long meeting. Wrap it up. Anybody have any final pearls of wisdom? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
We need motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
So
Also
it is the
say nay.
18th.
Sorry, who made the motions?
I did.
Matt made the motion. Matt, you made the motion.
Seconded.
I think we can.
Nicole seconded.
Thank you.